What if I told you the Chicago Bears almost lost their heartbeat before it ever truly started, and the lifeline didn't come from Lake Michigan, Soldier Field, or even Holler's own checkbook, but from 140 miles south on I-57? What if the most important assists in Bears history weren't throws, blocks, or sacks, but a college town's courage, a campus icon's star power, and a set of colors borrowed from a place that understood what football meant to the Midwest long before the pros did? And what if I told you that without the Illinois Fighting Illini, the Bears might be a museum piece and the NFL itself might have been a footnote? Take a beat and picture it. Wrigley Field before the Navy and Orange felt inevitable. A league fighting for relevance in stadiums half filled with curiosity and skepticism. A Chicago franchise with grit for days and cash for, well, not enough days. Then jump ahead 8 decades to a different kind of crisis. No stadium, no true home. A proud organization forced to improvise or go dark. 2 moments. 2 crossroads. One unlikely ally making both survivable. Here's the promise. Today we're cracking open the forgotten alliance between Champaign-Urbana and Chicago. The handshake between a university program and a pro team that needed more than luck. We'll trace a color choice that became a brand. A superstar whose name sold tickets like a Broadway marquee. The economics that kept paychecks from bouncing. And a fall in 2002 when Memorial Stadium became a lifeboat. We'll weigh the claim that Illinois helped save the Bears and, yes, the entire NFL, and we'll separate history from myth with an honest eye on what's fact and what's interpretation. You're watching Bears News Fan Report. If you live this team the way we do, if you can still hear the crunch of a late-season tackle in your bones, hit subscribe, drop a like, and ring that bell. This is where Chicago talks to Chicago, where we honor the past to understand the next Sunday. Let's set the table. Before the charter franchise aura, before Ditka's mustache and Ehrlicher's eyes, there was George Halas, owner, coach, player, salesman, evangelist. He needed an identity powerful enough to cut through a country that thought college football was the real show and Sundays were for recovery. Halas and Illinois alum looked south and borrowed 2 things that still define the Bears, a palate and a pulse. Orange and blue Illinois colors became Chicago's. Not a coincidence, a connection. It said something subtle and strong. Our pro team is part of the same Midwestern lineage that fills bleachers on crisp Saturdays. The brand was born wearing Champaign's clothes, but a color scheme doesn't balance a ledger. In the early 1920s, pro football fought indifference as much as opponents. Crowds were uneven, gate receipts were fragile, and some city schedules lived week to week. Halas needed a star who could turn a ledger into a festival. Enter Harold Red Grange, the galloping ghost Illinois back, who didn't just run past defenders. He outran disbelief. 4 touchdowns in 12 minutes against Michigan made him a myth before myths had hashtags. In 1925, Halas signed him to a contract that reflected both his value and the desperation of a league trying to matter. Then came the barnstorming tour, 18 games in 67 days, a rolling spectacle from city to city. Ticket stubs piling up like proof of concept. Here's the real news. The line that sounds wild until you look at the ripple effects. The Illinois Fighting Illini first through their icon, Red Grange, later through the Champaign community, twice through the Bears and the NFLA rope when both needed it most. First, Grange's stardom dragged pro football into the American mainstream. His name turned curiosity into attendance, attendance into revenue, and revenue into survival, especially for fledgling franchises like the New York Giants, who have long credited that surge of interest for keeping their doors open. Second, in 2002, when Soldier Field went under the knife and the Bears had no home, the Illini's Memorial Stadium became Chicago's emergency address. No blackout season, no wandering circus. A place to play, a reason to keep the drum beating while the lakefront was rebuilt. Let's unpack the first save. In 1925, the NFL wasn't the superpower we know. It was a hustlers' league held together by hope and smart scheduling. Grange joined the Bears, and the tour became a traveling revival. packed houses, cash in the box. Headlines that made Sunday an event rather than an experiment. You can argue whether one player saved a league, but you can't argue with momentum and Grange, the Ellini legend, supplied the spark Hollis needed to sell the whole product. It wasn't just the Bears who ate. Everyone in the ecosystem benefited from the attention economy that followed the Ghost. The league survived the wobble years, and the Bears cemented themselves as something more than a local curiosity. Fast forward. Different century, different crisis. The 2002 Bears were a brand without a home field while Soldier Field transformed. You can't pause an NFL franchise for renovations like a kitchen remodel. TV contracts, competitive integrity, the rhythm of fall Sundays, everything demands continuity. So the Ellini opened their doors. Memorial Stadium didn't just host games. It adopted a fan base. Monday night under the lights against the Packers, 70,000-ish in orange and blue. Chicago accents mixing with campus energy, it felt surreal and necessary. The Champaign-Urbana community flexed logistics, altered local rules, and built weekend rituals that made the exile feel less like banishment and more like pilgrimage. The Bears didn't win much that year, but they stayed visible, solvent, and present. The lights stayed on. The drumline kept tempo. The franchise rode out a year that could have fractured its connection to the city's bloodstream. There's a human layer, too. Without Champaign, a 13-win momentum in 2001 could have dissolved into apathy. With it, you got families driving 2 hours to watch Ehrlicher patrol the middle, kids learning the language of rivalries by hearing it in real time, and a program downstate cashing in just enough to upgrade infrastructure, the kind of long tail that quietly benefits both sides. When your pro team leans on a college town and the town says, "We got you," that's more than logistics. That's culture. Now, the skepticism. Did Illinois save the entire NFL? The exact phrasing invites debate, and I'm here for that. Facts first, Grange's arrival with the Bears triggered unprecedented gate receipts and media attention in 1925. Multiple franchises, including the Giants, have long pointed to those crowds and dollars as pivotal in surviving the fragile early years. That's not fairy tale. That's Ledger Inc. 2002 is cleaner. Without Memorial Stadium, the Bears season goes nomad or even worse gets carved into neutral sites that fracture fan engagement and revenue streams. Champaign made a complicated year manageable, kept broadcasting partners happy, and protected the rhythm that keeps a team emotionally attached to its people. Those are facts. The save the NFL phrasing, strictly speaking, is a grand capstone to a true story. Illinois helped the Bears survive at two critical junctures. And because the Bears are a pillar of league history that helped reverberate beyond city limits, there's also a symbolism we can't ignore. Hollis wearing Illinois in his heart and on his sleeves by choosing orange. And blue wasn't just nostalgia, it was branding genius. Tie your pro identity to a winning college tradition and you borrow credibility, pageantry, and a ready-made visual language. Every time a kid sees navy and orange on a Sunday, whether they know it or not, they're seeing a thread that runs through Champaign. That's not a bailout. That's a bloodline. Zoom back out and look at the arc. In the 1920s, Illinois gave Chicago a star so bright he sold the sport. In 2002, Illinois gave Chicago a home so sturdy it protected the brand. Add the color lineage and you get this thesis. The Fighting Ellini didn't just help in emergencies. They shaped how the Bears look, feel, and endure. The phrase, "help save the Bears," and the NFL captures the weight of those contributions, even if the historian in you wants to put asterisks on. Verbs fair, but the fan in you, the one who understands how close greatness and collapse can sit knows when a neighbor shows up at the right time with the right tools. So is this pure fact or a blend with speculation? The history is solid. Grange's barnstorming changed the NFL's economics, and Champaign's hosting in 2002 preserved a season that could have gone off the rails. The Save the NFL line is the interpretive flourish that tries to sum up real leverage in a headline. I call it earned poetry. It's not claiming Illinois built the entire league. It's acknowledging that in two separate storms, the Illini held the umbrella. My personal take? As a Bears fan, I think we owe Champaign more than a nod. We owe them a standing ovation. The Fighting Illini are stitched into our fabric, from the navy and orange on our backs to the pages in our history, where a college legend filled pro stadiums and a college stadium filled a pro schedule. You can debate the magnitude, but you can't debate the impact. Without Illinois, the Bears' story is smaller and the NFL's path to dominance gets harder. Drop your memories of 2002 below if you made that drive. Tell me what your family said about Red Grange, if your grandparents kept clippings. And if you're new here, welcome to Bears News Fan Report, where we keep Chicago's football memory honest, loud, and alive.